iPhone 15 and Xiaomi 14, two base models with very different camera systems. I'll be putting all 7 cameras to the test, exploring various modes and providing side-by-side comparisons. But what makes this video truly special is that I'll be testing these phones in the exact same spots and locations where the Xiaomi 14 commercial was filmed in.
They were filming right over there, and throughout this video I will be visiting the locations from that commercial to see the capabilities of these phones.
I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who's watching and subscribing. Thank you all so much for support. Now we're almost at 100k subscribers, so if you are new here, do not forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons so you will not miss any future videos. Let's get that YouTube silver play button and start this epic phone camera comparison.
Alright, right away, what's cool and what I like about the Xiaomi phones compared to the iPhone is that the HDR switch is right here. And let me see what settings are here available. You see we have different switches between Leica Authentic, Leica Vibrant. So this is Leica Vibrant and this is Leica Authentic. If you watched my 14 Ultra video, then you know that Leica Vibrant adds a little bit of saturation to the midtones and shadows a little bit. So that's how I would differentiate them. But for this video, I will be using Leica Authentic. If I use Leica Vibrant, then I will caption the photo as well. The other settings here is the aspect ratio, and we have full, which is just for full screen, but it's actually a crop photo. So if you want to get as big image as possible, then you need to use the 3:4 aspect ratio. Then HDR auto, and what I like here, so if you disable it completely, then the photo will not come with HDR effect and the shadows will be darker. So if I take a photo, let's say against bright source of light and expose for the skies like this, yeah, in this case we're supposed to have no HDR in the shot. You see the shadows are not lifted. There is a tilt shift feature, which is kind of cool, and I like to use it from time to time. It adds either radial blur around your photo, everything around the shot. It's like a blurry vignette basically, like this. It's kind of cool effect, but also I'm not going to be using it, but it is there. On the iPhone there is not much. It's very straightforward. You just have shutter button, and if you want to adjust different settings here, well, you just press this arrow on top and you get the access to different settings, and you're supposed to know what they mean basically. Same, you see 4:3, all these different settings here I will keep as close as possible to the Xiaomi 14. On the iPhone there is also the adjustment here. You can choose either HEIF Max or Live Photo. Live Photo is kind of cool, and I like using it on the iPhone from time to time if I want to capture memories, and you can also select the best take from the photo. So if you want to have Live Photo, then keep in mind that iPhone might be a little bit better option in that regard, but if you want to have more information in the shot, then HEIF Max is the way to go. Now let's take a photo against bright source of light, and to be honest, just like looking right here on the spot without bigger monitor, they look almost identical. I can't tell the difference much. Maybe iPhone looks a little bit sharper, to be honest, because Xiaomi seems to focus a little bit on the background. You see time here compared to the iPhone. So I would say iPhone has the edge as of right now, but maybe that's because I'm using HEIF Max.
And yes, this turned out to be the case. As you know, iPhone 15 base model cannot take any RAW photos, and the highest quality mode available is HEIF Max. But if we use both phones in regular photography mode, then they will produce identical results in terms of sharpness. Now, one of the main features that I really like on the Xiaomi 14 is the HDR switch that is just always right there for you to turn on or off.
And even though right now it's turned on, but it's not active, you see, it's not lit up, but when I rotate and face the camera towards bright source of light, which is sun, you see the logo of HDR just becomes orange. That means the HDR is active. Although the sun is so bright right now and you see the highlights are clipped, let's take a photo with the iPhone and see if it's gonna be the same or not. Yeah, it's clipped here on the iPhone as well, to be honest. If we talk about the dynamic range, I'm a little bit surprised here. If you see the HDR is on the iPhone, but the shadows are crushed. I think Xiaomi is a little bit better. iPhone offers you ultra wide, main camera, and 2x, which is a digital crop. If you look here, we have only 2 cameras, whereas on the Xiaomi we have 3.
But does an extra lens make a difference really? Let's find out.
This is the ultra wide angle side by side. This is main camera, 2x. Xiaomi also has the telephoto 3.2, and I'm gonna zoom just with digital zoom on the iPhone to match this crop. All right, so this is the telephoto zoom versus 3.2 crop, and we zoom in just a little bit. Xiaomi looks clear, it's way sharper. That's what I'm always saying, the optical zoom is way better than digital. That was my critique of the S24 Ultra. When they removed the 10x, they just added 5x with higher megapixel count. I personally prefer more optical zoom.
And that extra telephoto lens has another awesome feature that you just have to check out.
Now you see, these days all the phones have more or less similar features, but here the difference is really big between these two. So let's talk about macro photography. You see, on the iPhone there is not really any macro mode here. If you use iPhone 15 Pro Max, then at least because of the LiDAR sensor, you can focus relatively close, but still the phone uses ultra wide angle camera. I can focus relatively close with iPhone 15 as well, like so, but you see how much this flower is distorted. It's wild. Whereas here on Xiaomi 14 we have a mode called Super Macro, and what it does, it uses that telephoto lens that allows you to zoom relatively close to the subject. And the main thing about this mode is you're not using ultra wide angle camera, meaning that you do not distort your subject. I think these photos speak for themselves. Well, I know a lot of people are not as excited about macro photography as I am, but I do really love it and enjoy it. So let me know if you're one of those people like me. Now if we talk about the autofocus, they are a little bit different here. So you see, if I use regular 1x camera, both phones do select the face, but sometimes Xiaomi actually selects the eye to focus on. And in that regard, it gives a little bit more sense of security that the shot will be in focus. And hopefully it's not just the software that shows, okay, I'm focusing here, but the results actually are quite sharp.
Alright, after that spot, Xiaomi filmed their commercial near another landmark of the city. And here's a funny story for you. When Xiaomi filmed their commercial in that spot, I was literally on the other side of the road filming my Google Pixel 8 review, and I managed to capture the whole crew that was busy filming that commercial. And although I do not have the budget that they spend on lighting and other props, I think I have skills sharp enough to compare these phones even further.
Now let's test ultra wide angle cameras. So both phones right now on more or less same settings, and let's take this photo. In terms of sharpness, let's zoom in a little bit in the corners. I want to say Xiaomi is way more contrasty, and you know guys, a lot of people have their own preference. Some people prefer this kind of photo, this kind of quality. They want more information and more HDR-like photo from the phone, and some people prefer more dramatic effect, which definitely is more prominent on this Xiaomi. In terms of the image preview, to be honest, Xiaomi feels more dramatic, more contrasty, and here on the outline of the building, once again, you can see how the HDR is applied over here. I'm not sure if it's going to be noticeable in final photo. To be honest, the results are great from both phones. Now, you know, in scenes like this, I think it's a perfect opportunity to test the RAW capabilities on this Xiaomi, especially in this location that they used in their commercial. Unfortunately, iPhone does not offer RAW capabilities of any kind on the 15 base model, whereas here on the Xiaomi, I have a great variety of different formats. So if I press over here, I can choose between JPEG, RAW and Ultra RAW as well. When you select the RAW mode, it says and lets you know that you can use Leica Vibrant only. So let's see what kind of results these phones produce. On the iPhone, I'm trying to expose in the middle of the frame, even though it's very bright right now. On Xiaomi, I can adjust my shutter speed. Now let's keep it on auto.
As you know, there is no point really to show the RAW file itself right out of the camera without adjusting at least contrast and saturation, since RAW is the format that needs editing. So shadows and highlights recovery in RAW photos is pretty decent on Xiaomi. And to be honest with you, in such extreme contrast lighting, I opt for using regular JPEGs with HDR enabled. Now since Xiaomi has so many different options in camera department, sometimes the phone can act rather strange. Just have a look.
And something weird is happening with the Xiaomi 14. If I select the Ultra RAW mode, in this case all manual controls are getting locked, like I cannot adjust shutter speed or ISO, it just grayed out. Once I disable the Ultra RAW though, in this case I get the access back to all the settings. In lighting like this, it's better even to use just regular HDR kind of photo, because you need multiple exposures in order to get the details from the highlights and shadows. We have really rich shadows over here and super intense highlights from the sun just hitting the floor and everything else. So in this case, you do need HDR to stock multiple exposure together. You see, Xiaomi actually preserves the highlights on the floor. In terms of sharpness, let me have a look. They both more or less the same, but in terms of the detail, Xiaomi gives better results sometimes. All right, now let's compare the selfie cameras and let's start with the photos. We have a really intense highlights area over there and I'm standing in shadow. So let's take the first photo. Xiaomi, iPhone. Okay, let's have a look. It feels like Xiaomi just applies some sort of a smoothing to the skin. Also, both phones allow you to zoom in and out. So this is 1x and you can zoom out a little bit. This is 0.8 on the Xiaomi and iPhone. I don't know, it feels like Xiaomi gives a little bit more of cartoonish results. Maybe it's just me. If you think differently, let me know in the comments, but it feels like there is some sort of a filter applied, even though I disabled everything on the phone right now. And now let's test the video on selfie camera. So in terms of the settings on Xiaomi, you have the choice of resolutions from 720 to 4K and up to 60 FPS. For the best results, obviously, I will be using the 30 FPS. And if you want to have some of the settings, here you have flash, resolution, and teleprompter even, which is really cool. I actually did not cover it in my 14 Ultra review, like you're speaking from your mind, whereas actually you're just reading off the screen. I will just hit on the face so the phone's expose right for it, and let's start the recording. This is the image quality and audio quality on the Xiaomi 14, and this is the video and audio test on the iPhone. I am backlit right now, which means that the highlights behind me more intense. And just judging by the preview quality from the screen on the phones, iPhone provides actually information in the skies, like I can clearly see blue skies behind me. But I have to say it's really challenging environment, so iPhone does better job over here. Now you let me know which audio do you prefer, from Xiaomi 14 or from iPhone 15.
And surprisingly, if HDR selfie videos work better on iPhone than if we talk about main camera photography, then I prefer Xiaomi and its Leica processing.
Beautiful shot, guys, and all these photos I'm taking during this video you can download absolutely for free and use them as wallpaper, so follow the link in the description and make your phone more cinematic.
Now in portrait mode, they are very different in my opinion. In terms of separation of the foreground and the background, both phones do a great job, but the colors are just not the same. Xiaomi feels more rich and vivid while iPhone looks rather bland. iPhone is also missing an extra telephoto camera, and if you want to take a bit of a closer portrait shot, then it would use a crop of the main 1x camera, and the difference in detail in that case is massive. And I don't know how about you, but I was not a big user of portrait modes on the phones until recently. I'm currently exploring California and its national parks, and I took both iPhone 15 Pro Max and Xiaomi 14 Ultra with me. And there is something Xiaomi did with their photo processing in portrait mode, because the shots are coming out with amazing colors. And as I'm posting all these photos to my Instagram, I even get asked by you guys if those shots were taken on a full frame or film camera. Well, it's just Xiaomi's portrait mode, and 14 Ultra probably has the best portrait mode out of all the phones I tried so far. This video comparing two flagships is coming soon, so subscribe not to miss it, and to see if posting from Android phones is somehow worsens the image quality, you can also follow me on IG. Okay, now back to our battle. You see, there are some key software differences on these phones that you just need to know about.
Even though both phones have really powerful hardware, software-wise, Xiaomi maybe offers a little bit more versatility, because here we have Pro mode for video, which allows you to even film in log, which is an option on iPhone 15 Pro Max and 15 Pro. So we have it right here, but what's cool and what makes it different from the iPhone flagships is that here you can actually apply LUTs. So you can use Rec 709 LUT that's baked into the phone, or you can use your own LUTs and import it into the phone and just have the preview of the image you're going after. So I will use Rec 709 preview, but keep in mind I will be recording in log flat profile. This is what it looks like on this camera, and then I apply color grading in order to get more dynamic and better results. Let's compare it to the HDR quality of the iPhone. Okay, so both phones record in auto, but Xiaomi films in log right now.
You know, I realized it only when editing this footage that HDR videos from iPhone are really easy to edit, while Xiaomi sometimes gives a little bit inconsistent result with jumping exposure. So if you are planning to film videos on your Xiaomi, then I recommend going with regular HDR for day scenes instead of using log. And in that case, both phones give decent results. iPhone has a little lighter contrast, while Xiaomi gives a little bit more dynamic and darker shots. In cinematic mode, however, iPhone takes a lead in my opinion, and Xiaomi sometimes sometimes struggles with separation. Just look at Xiaomi and how it cut out the phone here. Also, it does feel a little bit too digitally over sharpened. So if I were to describe a perfect image out of a phone, I would prefer richer shadows from Xiaomi, while the amount of sharpness I would choose from iPhone.
Okay guys, now let's test the image stabilization on this device's One X camera, 4K 30 FPS. It's a little bit difficult to keep same framing, but I'm trying to do my best. I'm walking relatively smooth. One cool thing that I like on the iPhone is that here I can switch between different cameras like this within a touch, whereas on Xiaomi there is a slider and maybe it's a little bit more complicated to use with one hand, and like I can't go back into the One X camera as easy. So yeah, I would prefer it to be implemented in a similar way as on the iPhone, to be honest. And it's really hard to tell which one is better. Both look equally good to me. There are tiny differences here and there, like if I look at the sky, iPhone provides a little bit more details, I feel like, but in terms of shakiness, they equally good, I would say. And I think it just comes down to what you personally prefer. If you want to post these videos to social media, Instagram stories, all that good stuff, I think both phones will produce great image quality.
As for the low light or taking photos in dim environment, both phones do not introduce much noise on the main camera. They process shots in a different way though. Once again, iPhone seems to keep more even exposure, while Xiaomi lifts highlights a little bit to achieve this contrast between bright and darker areas, therefore making shots more dynamic and volumetric. It's especially noticeable if you're taking photos of food. I know in every video I get users of each brand, but try to keep it aside and objectively guys, let me know which phone has a better camera system in your opinion. So as you can see for yourself, both phones produce really nice images. Probably iPhone has the edge when filming videos, but Xiaomi has 3 lenses set up, and optical lenses always beat digital zooms, especially when taking photos. But as per usual, I'm very interested to hear what your thoughts about this comparison in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe for the next video, it will be super epic as I'm embarking on a road trip through some national parks in California. Meanwhile, make sure to watch this video next as I think it will be perfect for you, and I'll see you there. Bye bye.